You know what's strange? We obsess over boomers and their real estate portfolios. We dissect millennials and their student debt. We psychoanalyze Gen Z and their side hustles like it's a cultural sport. But Generation X? They move quietly, and that silence is deceptive. Because financially, Gen X might be the most psychologically complex generation alive. Born between 1965 and 1980, they grew up in one economic reality and entered adulthood in another. They were raised on certainty and matured into volatility. They were promised stability and delivered collapse. And that contradiction rewired their relationship with money in ways most people completely miss. Let's go back. It's 1983. You're 10 years old. Your father wears the same work jacket every morning. He leaves at 7:30, comes home at 5:30. Same factory, same company, same paycheck every 2 weeks. He has a pension. You don't even know what a pension is, but you can feel what it represents. Permanence. Your mother balances the checkbook at the kitchen table. Numbers line up. Mortgage payments reduce predictably. Interest in savings accounts actually grows. There's a formula. Work hard. Stay loyal. Save steadily. Retire safely. The system makes sense. And when you're a child, consistency becomes truth. Now fast forward. It's 2008. You're 35. You followed the formula. You went to college. You worked hard. You contributed to your 401k. You bought a house because that's what responsible adults do. And then, the market collapses. Your retirement account drops 40%. Your home value plummets. People with 20 years at your company are escorted out with cardboard boxes. The formula didn't break. It vanished. And that psychological rupture, that betrayal, is the defining money trauma of Generation X. They're the only generation that experienced full belief in economic stability before witnessing its public dismantling. Boomers had post-war expansion. Millennials grew up skeptical from the start. Gen Z never expected stability. Gen X believed in it. And belief lost is more powerful than belief never formed. That's where their money psychology begins. The anxiety paradox. Here's the first contradiction. Gen X is terrified about retirement, but they're also disciplined savers. According to the 2023 Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies, roughly 70% of Gen X reports serious anxiety about retirement readiness. Yet they consistently maintain high contribution rates to retirement accounts. They don't believe it will work, but they do it anyway. That behavior has a name in psychology: defensive pessimism. It's when you assume negative outcomes, not to freeze, but to prepare. If you expect disaster, you overprepare. If you assume collapse, you build cushions. Defensive pessimism is emotionally exhausting, but behaviorally effective. Gen X doesn't save because they're optimistic. They save because they're bracing. They watched pensions disappear. They saw stable corporations implode. They witnessed loyalty become obsolete. So they contribute, not because they trust the system, but because if it fails again, they refuse to be unprepared. This isn't financial enthusiasm. It's financial trauma management. The escape tunnel strategy. Let's talk about side hustles. Millennials branded it. Gens gamified it. But Gen X operationalized it. Federal Reserve data shows Gen X maintains high rates of secondary income streams, often higher than boomers and millennials. But unlike younger generations, they rarely abandon their primary job. They don't chase passion. They build exits. Your Gen X neighbor flipping houses isn't entrepreneurial for identity. They're entrepreneurial for insulation, because they watched loyalty die. Picture this. It's 1995. Your mother's company downsizes. People who had been there since before you were born are suddenly unemployed at 50. No warning. No transition. No dignity. Just gone. That image doesn't disappear. It embeds. And embedded memory becomes financial doctrine. Never depend on one source. So they don't. Consulting gig. Rental property. Etsy store. Freelance contract. Not ambition. Insurance. Millennials diversify income to escape work. Gen X diversifies income to survive it. Subtle difference. Psychologically enormous. Institutional distrust. Here's something fascinating. Gen X will leave a corporation without hesitation, but they are intensely loyal to brands they trust. Studies show Gen X is significantly more likely to stay with familiar brands from their youth compared to younger generations. Why? Because institutions betrayed them. Brands didn't. Corporations laid off their parents. But Levi's didn't. Banks crashed. But that local coffee shop didn't. When a corporation fails you, there's no recourse. When a small business fails you, there's accountability. Gen X distinguishes between abstract institutions and tangible trust. They don't trust systems. They trust consistency. They quit companies, but they drive across town for the same barber. This isn't nostalgia. It's psychological anchoring. In an unstable world, familiarity feels like control. And control is everything to them. The experience over asset logic. Here's another contradiction that isn't actually a contradiction. Gen X saves aggressively, but they also spend heavily on experiences. Concerts, travel, live events, more per year in actual dollars than younger generations. How? Because their economic lesson wasn't don't spend. It was don't trust permanence. Homes lose value. Stocks crash. Companies fold. But a memory? Untouchable. That Pearl Jam concert in 1994? Market-proof. That road trip? Recession-proof. They realized something profound. In volatile systems, experiential ROI often exceeds asset ROI. Experiences are psychologically inflation-resistant. You can't repossess joy, so they save defensively, spend intentionally, and refuse to attach emotional value to material permanence. That's not impulsive. It's adaptive. DIY financial control. Now, let's examine their relationship with financial advisors. Gen X is statistically less likely to use traditional financial advisory services compared to boomers. But they're also highly anxious about financial correctness. They want control, and they want reassurance. Simultaneously. Why? Because they were the last generation raised to believe self-education was sufficient. Before algorithm feeds. Before infinite digital noise. They grew up reading manuals, balancing checkbooks, learning systems from scratch. So they build spreadsheets, read investment books, research for hours. Not because they're arrogant, because outsourcing trust feels dangerous. They saw what happened when experts mismanage pensions. So they verify everything. Trust is earned. And even then, double-checked. Strategic debt psychology. Here's a surprising data point. Gen X carries high total debt levels. But it's structured debt. Mortgage? Yes. Business loan? Possibly. High-interest consumer credit? Avoided aggressively. Why? Predictability. They don't fear borrowing. They fear chaos. A mortgage has a map, a timeline, an end. Credit card debt is amorphous, endless, compounding invisibly. They grew up watching consumer debt balloon in the 80s and 90s. Then they watched 2008 expose leverage fragility. So they developed a rule. Borrow what you can calculate. Avoid what you can't. It's not anti-debt. It's anti-uncertainty. Redundancy thinking. One of the most quietly brilliant Gen X traits. Redundancy. They use digital banking, but keep paper records. They back up files and print contracts. They trust technology, but not exclusively. Because they lived through system failures. Databases lost. Banks misreporting. Records disappearing. They understand something younger generations haven't fully experienced yet. Systems fail. So they build layers. Backup income. Backup savings. Backup documentation. Redundancy is not paranoia. It's resilience engineering. There's something else about Generation X that most people completely misread. They look calm about money, detached, dry, even indifferent. But that calm isn't comfort. It's containment. Gen X doesn't panic loudly. They internalize. They calculate. They prepare quietly. Because long before the market crash of 2008, long before dot-com bubbles and corporate layoffs, they were already practicing financial independence in a different way. They were latchkey kids. The latchkey effect. Generation X was the first large-scale latchkey generation. 2 working parents. empty houses after school, microwave dinners, notes on the fridge, be back at 6. That experience does something profound psychologically. It accelerates self-reliance. When you grow up solving small problems alone, finding snacks, finishing homework without supervision, handling boredom without entertainment systems, you internalize a subtle message. You are responsible for yourself, not in a dramatic way, in a quiet way. That belief transfers directly into money behavior. Millennials often approach finances collaboratively. Gens often approachent finances digitally. Boomers approached finance institutionally. Gen X approach finance personnally. If something goes wrong, they assume it's on them. That's why they don't loudly blame the system, even when the system fails them. They adapt, quietly. Why they don't flaunt wealth? Here's another odd pattern. Gen X has accumulated significant wealth relative to younger generations, yet they rarely display it. No flashy social media posts. No financial virtue signaling. No loud success branding. Part of that is cultural. They grew up before social comparison was digitized. But there's something deeper. They associate financial security with privacy because they watched visibility backfire. In the 80s and 90s, corporate success looked stable. Companies flaunted growth. Exécutifs projected permanence. Then it collapsed. So Gen X internalized this. Security should be quiet. They don't post about their retirement accounts. They don't discuss net worth casually. They don't announce investment wins. Because psychologically, visibility equals vulnerability. Money is protection. Protection is private. This is why you might know a Gen Zer who lives modestly, drives an old car, dresses casually, but has 6 figures in savings. It's not contradiction. It's insulation. The career trust fracture. Let's revisit 2008 again, but this time emotionally. Imagine you're 35. You're not young enough to start over easily. Not old enough to retire safely. You're in the middle, and you watch your peers get laid off after decades of loyalty. That moment fractured something deeper than finances. It fractured identity. Boomers built identity around company loyalty. Millennials built identity around flexibility and personal brand. Gen X, they built identity around competence. Be good at what you do. Deliver results. Stay valuable. But 2008 revealed something brutal. Competence doesn't guarantee security. So they recalibrated. Not by becoming cynical, by becoming strategically detached. They stopped expecting emotional fulfillment from work. They stopped expecting loyalty. They treated employment as transactional. And here's where it gets interesting. That emotional detachment made them financially sharper. Because when you stop romanticizing corporations, you start negotiating harder. You job hop without guilt. You ask for raises without apology. You leave when it's strategic. But you never fully trust. And that partial trust shapes every financial move. The retirement fear that won't leave. You would think after decades of disciplined saving, Gen X would feel secure. But they don't. Because they don't believe in permanence anymore. Even if their 401k has recovered since 2008. Even if their home value rebounded. Even if their income stabilized. The memory of collapse remains neurologically encoded. Neuroscience tells us that emotionally intense financial stress can anchor long-term behavioral shifts. When money feels existentially threatened, the brain links security to vigilance. So even with assets, they scan for danger. What if healthcare explodes? What if another crash happens? What if social security changes? What if inflation erodes everything? It's not irrational. They've seen rule changes before. So their retirement planning isn't hopeful. It's contingency-based. They don't plan for if everything goes right. They plan for what if it doesn't. That mindset produces strong savers, but chronically anxious ones. The experience logic revisited. Let's go deeper into their spending on experiences. Because it's not just about memories. It's about control. Material goods are tied to market value. Homes can depreciate. Cars lose value immediately. Investments fluctuate. But experiences are psychologically owned. When Gen X spends $500 on concert tickets, they're not being irrational. They're They're converting unstable currency into permanent emotional equity. It's a hedge, not against inflation, against regret. They don't want to reach retirement and realize they prepared financially, but lived cautiously. So they balance fear with living. Save aggressively. Spend intentionally. Repeat. It's dual system financial behavior. Security brain and experience brain coexisting. Debt as a control tool. Let's revisit debt, but psychologically. Gen X doesn't view debt as evil. They view it as leverage if mapped clearly. Mortgage? Predictable. Trackable. Finite. Business investment? Strategic. Calculated. Purposeful. Credit card lifestyle debt? Dangerous. Abstract. Compounding silently. The difference is psychological visibility. Gen X trusts what they can measure. They distrust what feels slippery. And that's rooted in their childhood exposure to rising consumer debt in the 80s and 90s. They saw neighbors stretch beyond means. They saw repossessions. They saw adjustable rates turn catastrophic. So their internal rule became, if I can't see the end, I won't enter it. That's why they'll tolerate large structured debt, but avoid small chaotic debt. It's not about amount. It's about control. Why they keep paper. This one seems almost humorous, but it's revealing. Paper records, physical backups, fireproof safes. They trust digital systems, but they don't trust them completely. Because Gen X remembers dial-up, server crashes, lost databases, early tech fragility. They built the internet, which means they understand its weaknesses. So they build redundancy. Digital file, cloud copy, physical print. It's not old-fashioned. It's systems thinking. When you've witnessed institutional fragility, you design around failure. The hidden strength. Here's what most people overlook. Gen X isn't financially confused. They're financially adaptive. They were raised in economic optimism, matured in economic volatility, and forced to integrate both realities. They learned hard work matters, but isn't guaranteed. Loyalty is admirable, but not protective. Savings are necessary, but not sufficient. So they built a hybrid psychology. Trust partially, verify always, prepare quietly, spend meaningfully, depend on yourself. They don't talk about it loudly, but their behavior reflects deep pattern recognition. Why nobody talks about them? And maybe the most interesting thing? They don't demand attention. Boomers debate. Millennials narrate. Gens broadcasts. Gen X observes. They're comfortable operating without cultural spotlight, which is fitting, because their entire financial psychology is built on not assuming permanence. They don't assume praise lasts. They don't assume wealth lasts. They don't assume systems last. So they quietly build quiet wealth, quiet exits, quiet contingency plans. The kid in the bank. Let's return one final time. A child watching his father deposit a paycheck. Stable job, stable system, stable future. That child believed in economic linearity. 2008 shattered that belief. But instead of collapsing psychologically, that child integrated the contradiction. He learned the system can fail, but preparation still matters. So he saves, even if he doubts. He invests, even if he questions. He works, even if he distrusts. He builds backups, even if he hopes he'll never need them. Gen X doesn't play the game blindly. They play it aware. Aware that rules shift. Aware that loyalty is conditional. Aware that stability is temporary. And that awareness makes their money behavior look strange until you understand the history behind it. They're not pessimists. They're pattern learners. They're not contradictory. They're calibrated. And honestly, in an unstable world, that might be the most rational financial psychology of all. If you've noticed these habits in yourself, the saving and the anxiety, the side hustle and the steady job, the experience, spending, and the emergency fund, it's not random. It's adaptive. Your money habits aren't personality quirks. They're survival responses to the world that shaped you. And when you understand the psychology behind them, they stop looking strange. They start making sense. If you want more deep dives into the psychology behind generational money behavior, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it.